Good day, all you circuits, and welcome to number 53 of the First Circuit podcast. That's today, the 27th of August, 2018. And I want to welcome our hosts. Here we go.
And today we have Biter.
Larg.
And we have Oldbob, myself. Tonight's episode is going to consist of Vulcan Mech Challenge, Impressions and Thoughts, Patch Notes from August 21st, the Public Test Alpha Balance from the 24th to the 18th, new content for our Battletech FlashPoint, and we might get into the No Guts, No Galaxy podcast as well. So first off, we have the Vulcan Mech Challenges. Did you actually do the Vulcan Mech Challenges?
Well, I didn't get the Vulcan.
Oh,
So,
okay.
all I've sort of seen is
Okay.
other people playing it, and what I was able to theory craft about it.
Yeah. I kind of mostly did the two of them that get you the walking Vulcan and the volcano thing. That's all I really did. The Seabill ones I wasn't too keen on doing. I didn't really want to spend my time on that though.
Well, as I had said, at least in earlier discussions, I think the bigger topic is just Vulcan impressions rather than the challenge. The challenges are the same as always. Just get 1,000 damage with all three variants of the standard pack, and you get a bunch of Seabills, etc., etc. You know, it's same old, same old. You get
True.
a lot more the more packs you buy, and a lot of it is a rather token rewards that aren't that that I'm not too enthusiastic about, even if I did own the pack. But it is what it is. It's nice getting a little bit extra for playing your new mechs.
Oh yeah.
It's still I still wish the challenges came out as soon as the patch went live.
Yeah, that's kind of weird they don't do that. Plus, also they normally have like other challenges for other people that didn't pick up the packs and like normally, but they haven't been doing that lately though. I wonder if that's because we suggested that they shouldn't do that because that loses money for people and want to get people to like buy the Vulcan. I don't know. Could be. Who knows?
So, Bob, what's your impressions of the Vulcan?
After learning a lot and having you talk to me, have very, very nice conversations about the Vulcan and builds, and plus everyone else, the Vulcan mech is actually, it's more of a second line pouncer mech. I unfortunately myself, I play it as I lead by example, so I got to be front line and kind of call it shots and stuff like that. So I do die a lot in the Vulcan, but I would have to say, like I said, second line pounce mech. So you see a mech that's being attacked, you jump in, pounce them, and shoot whatever you got, and then jump back again. Or if you got longer range, say like AC2s or something like that, play it as a sniper mech type thing. But it is not a frontline mech. You do not want to go toe to toe with almost like anybody unless they're very, very hurt, and you have really good targeting skills. The hero mech was pretty fun to play. I played it with streaks. With streaks, and it was harder to play with that one than actually with the Serms. The Serms worked out a little bit better, in my own opinion. But the streaks were harder to use with that thing because it required some type of lock-on time with the new patch notes, and it required more time to go lock on. And then also playing the other types of mechs, the 2T with an AC-10 and two medium lasers, two medium lasers. It worked out good. I pretty much almost got like about 250 a game with that type of 2T, but I wanted more. But it has its issues as far as hitboxes. You're really going to get hit in the arms and the torsos because the center torso. Like I was looking at the hitbox for the center torso, wasn't really. It was pretty small, but then the big torsos and the big arms were most of the stuff that got hit. So you got to really watch out about that, and you got to torso twist a lot. But like I said, second line mech, pouncer mech, and that's pretty much what you have to run this as. And how about you, Biter?
Well, it's only from what I've seen from others playing and from fighting against it, of course. But this thing, the Vulcan exists to remind us how good the Cicada is. It's sort of like the Night Star reminding us how good the Banshee is.
Yeah.
It exists with this mech with its hard points really needed a lot of quirkage to make the difference. And whilst they gave it a fair amount of quirks, I think PGI is in an awkward spot, at least in terms of their current philosophies. Like they're thinking, the catapult is unkillable. Just 5 or 6 extra structure just is changes everything. So we can't give this thing huge amounts of structure. It makes it very, very squishy. And with Cicada, at least, you get like twice the structure in every component.
Yeah.
So, and the Cicada also has really strong general weapon quirks. Like, you've got like 15% for its main weapons. Whereas PGI, again, they're not happy about giving big cooldown quirks, particularly, I guess, to a new mech. And I guess that does stop accusations of pay to win. But at best, you've got like 15% cooldown to your ballistic weapons. But otherwise, there's like, oh, if you specialize in large pulse lasers, you've got a 10% cooldown. Oh, I mean, it's better than nothing, but the universal 10% range isn't so useful for an energy ballistic mech. You really want velocity, at least if you're taking something like an AC-10 or AC-20.
Yeah.
Those are much nicer than just range. An AC-20 with 10% range, it's nice if the target's not moving.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise,
exactly.
You really want 20% velocity or something instead. And all of them have got a healthy amount of MG and Flamer quirks, reinforcing its, at least trying to push you towards its anti-infantry role or anti-infantry weapons. But because it's so hardpoint starved, it's hard to justify sometimes taking, just 3 MGs, even if they have got like 15, 25% or whatever extra fire, rate of fire. It's only effectively 3.45 MGs or whatever anyway. So why bother? If you want an MG mech, go with a clan MG mech, or even just the Flea with 8 MGs.
Or the Piranha.
Yeah, clan MG mechs, so Piranha, Arctic Cheetah, Miss Lynx, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Even the Gen 2C Hero, I guess.
I got that. It's fun mech.
Yeah. Yeah, 6 MGs is way better than 3.5 or whatever. Even, the best rounding up. So it's kind of squishy. It's stuck trying to use ballistics or weird little, like, its quirks are pushing it towards weird niche, very close range weapons, but it doesn't have the tankiness to do it. Now, PGI has been thinking a lot about at least mobility, agility, and this mech does have the best agility of any medium mech in the game. In fact, it's on the same level as a Flea, at least in terms of acceleration and turn rate. Its deceleration is not the same as the Flea, but it's able to dart in and out very effectively.
Yeah.
It's actually quite a good poking and harassing mech as a consequence. The issue is, though, still, its hitboxes is quite a wide mech. It's not a thin poking profile. Like, if you had the Assassin with these the Assassin already has good agility, but the Assassin at least is a much smaller profile when you're poking around a corner. And the Assassin isn't stuck trying to use big ballistics. So it can actually, take a bigger engine and go a reasonable speed, at least if you've got a good amount of firepower with it. So I just think this mech, it's got the Night Star sort of problem. It's got hardpoints spread all over the place. It's got hardpoints that aren't suited to its weight category. And there's just better alternatives out there, even though those alternatives, like the Cicada, already aren't exactly that meta in the first place.
If you could see me now, I'm actually nodding the whole time, actually. One of the things I did like about it, though, is the jump jets. It had really good jump capability. For some reason, it could jump like a Viper, and also jump like a Cicada as well, too. It's really weird. Like you said, like the agility and everything else of this mech, it just worked out really well. But you got to have a big engine into it, which then takes away from your tonnage for weapons. So you really have to kind of figure out what you want to do with it. But it is fun. It is fun. Not a lot of people are targeting me sometimes, but it was just like, you really got to play it as a pounce mech. You cannot do this as a front line like I do, unfortunately. That's why I die a lot. But overall, though, I actually had fun with it, though. It's a very challenging mech to use, and I love challenges, and that's why I do a lot of lore builds, pure lore builds, and see how well I can do with them. And it's a challenge to use. You can also, I've seen some people do heavy Gauss rifles like on this. I've seen them do Gauss rifles like on these things, but your damage to ammo ratio, you wouldn't actually be doing a lot of stuff with them. But still, it's fun to play. An interesting mech to use.
I would say there's a lot of potential, at least in the sense that it could be really heavily quirked up in the future, at least in terms of cooldowns. If ever PGI feels like 15% cooldown isn't breaking the game, which it isn't, but
Yeah.
because there's so many 15% out there. But the more recent mechs, they've been very cautious about handing stuff like that out. The agility is nice, but it really needs tankiness to be able to stay in there using its flamers and MGs, which it's quirked for.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, it's really built for the opportunities. But I will say, yeah, really good agility, always having jump jets, having universal range, having good flamers, MGs, jump jets, and even mask in one of them. It means there is a lot of options on the table for the Vulcan. It's not like it's completely barren. It's not like a spider with just 2 energy hardpoints and its CT.
Yeah.
But it's still in a very awkward place, and I think it was not too strong out of the door, at least given its shape and its hug points. It really needed, at least in my mind, I always just liked having survival more than agility, because even if you're really good at poking around that corner, eventually someone's going to strike back at you with something like Twin Gorse or a Laser Vomit Alpha, and those things can really screw over a small little mech like this with not so great hitboxes.
Yeah, basically, I find it weird that they would actually put this mech in the game, the Vulcan, because like in lore wise, it was specifically designed for tanks and infantry, and that's it. And plus riot control. And so, it just gives me hope that they'll put the Wasp and Stinger like into the game. It gives me hope. Please, BGI, put the Wasp and Stinger in the game. But
we'll have to wait and see. But still, the Vulcan as it stands right now is just like the Night Star. It's there to remind you that other off-meta mechs are actually pretty good. So if you're thinking about the Vulcan, pick up a Cicada. There's one with ECM. ECM is really nice for these little guys. The Cicada isn't much tankier, at least in terms of just the raw numbers, and it has way better weapon quirks. So if you want to go ballistic with a couple of energies, the Cicada's got you covered. Just go in a Cicada.
Yep.
If you really want this particular playstyle.
I mean, like I'll give this about a 3.5 to a 4, like out of 5. So it's not bad. It's not the worst, but it's not bad. At least that's what I would think.
Well, I just think it's not that good. I.e., probably bad. Just sort of like with the Night Star. It's like, why are you running this thing?
What, a 2.0? Yeah, 2 out of 5?
2 out of 5, I guess. I mean, the agility with Mask is the biggest selling point. So when it comes out for C-Builds, I may very well pick up one of the most agile mechs in the game. Particularly with the UAC quirks, means you can have an extremely agile UAC 10 on the field.
Yeah.
It still takes it takes a lot of effort to get that UAC 10 to pump out the damage, and jams are going to, really delay or hold you back. But nonetheless, I think the Mask one, at least for me, is the most interesting one, because you've got a good agility stats already, getting buffed on top of, with jump jets and Mask. Those jump jets and Mask, they have separate cooldowns. You can do a lot of agility things with those two weapons, two things combined, and it has the UAC quirks.
I find it interesting though that the two things. The Bloodlust, the hero mech, doesn't have double heat sinks, which is kind of bizarre because most of the hero mechs do have double heat sinks. And interesting that I always forget to use my mask on my 5S always, so I just stripped it and said screw it, I'm gonna go ahead and just use normal mech. I'm gonna just run normally basically. But yeah, the 5S is definitely like a pickup if you do actually, when this does come out for C-Bills. A very, very cool mech. Yeah,
that's the one I would sort of go for. My only annoyance a little bit is the UAC cooldown, UAC jam chance quirk. It's split between general 20% and UAC 5 10%. Whereas the assassin, the one with the ballistics, which is kind of like the same, but less agility, better hitboxes, etc., has a universal 30%. So I think a few other bits and pieces, but it's just sort of, oh god, I'm in the Vulcan, and yes, it has Mask, but I could just be in the Assassin. It's just trying to make me think that the other mechs are better by its existence.
Yeah, true. Wow. Well, yeah, if you can, wait for C-Bills. If not, it's pretty cool nonetheless, though. So
it exists.
It exists, yeah. It's one of those mechs.
It's nice to actually have some more agility in the game when you're not just a 20-tonner. Now you're a 40-tonner with some really good agility, and you're a Vulcan, so well done. You're a Vulcan.
I have seen some really good paint designs on some of these, like a big Halloween face. I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, they did some pretty good ones, but yeah, cool. Okay. Next, I think, is that it for the Vulcan? Forged in Fire?
I think that's it for the Vulcan. So
Okay.
let's move on
The
to
patch notes.
the patch notes.
Yay, patch notes, always. We actually wanted to do this on that Friday, but they never actually, or last week, never got around to doing it until Monday morning, basically. So, but weapon refits, that's a standard one they've been doing for all the different mechs, trying to actually get that out. The patch notes did come out on the 21st with the Vulcan. Weapon refits, that's actually just showing like what the weapons look like with the new type of weapons on the mechs themselves. Bolt-ons, I don't think the buzzsaw shoulder blades, shoulders, I don't think I've even seen those yet. I haven't really messed with the bolt-ons that much.
I don't bother keeping track of what bolt-ons are available and what mechs.
Yeah.
Most people don't bother with bolt-ons, it doesn't seem, but yep, as always, these are just little bits and pieces, changes. You know, these things could almost be put at the bottom, and I still wouldn't. Yeah, they're just as important as the random patches they have at the bottom.
Yeah, the refits, bolt-on cell, battery cell bolt-ons. What the hell? I don't know. Who knows? Yeah. So, the new cockpit items for the tournament pack supporters, we have got those, and I did not like the Warhorn. I thought that was kind of cheesy. It looked cool. All the ones for the hanging blue and the standing blue and the Warhorn looked awesome, but the Warhorn that they had for the tournament one was garbage. It's like, oh god, no. It's kind of like the Phoenix Warhorns they had with the Warhammer and the Marauder and all that kind of stuff. They had the same notes, and they're really crappy notes. And this one had some really crappy stuff. I did not like that one.
I mean, the Phoenix Warhorns that came with those mechs. They were rather simple. They're just sort of like dung or something like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, it was really annoying them just always being recolors, and it was really they're kind of air. But at least they were just kind of air. They're just sort of like, a big dung, a big note that you've done something. Whereas this thing is this weird, I don't know, it just sort of twiddles along random noises.
Yeah, it was just,
I
okay. Yeah, I know. I do think they could do better with the Warhorns. The one that everyone liked was the bagpipes and the racing car one. Like with the engine revving up, everyone liked that one. Basically, they should do like kind of like a survey.
They're doing some cool Warhorns, like the worksite radio roll horn, etc.
Oh yeah.
Like this one is really uninspired, and for those who at least support, paid money to support the tournament, part of the thing they're hoping for is that they get some nice, little food pellets along the way. And this is not really a nice addition for, the investment.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm with you on that one. But they looked great, though. They did look good. I have to admit that. Definitely look good. But yeah,
it would be funny if it became more cool the closer you came to the tournament. Or they retrofit it with something after the tournament, when we get to the finals or whatever.
Yeah. That'd be interesting.
The stupid tournament supporter pack and its awful Warhorn, and then after the tournament, someone just plays this awesome banging tune after they get a kill, and everyone's like, "What the hell is that?"
Exactly. I wonder who picks the sound effects for that, though. I wonder if they sit in a room and throw a dartboard or something like that. I don't know. It'd be nice if they did some type of survey with kind of like a poll, basically. This is these are the 4 different types of sounds we're gonna have. What like what do you guys like? Type thing.
I mean, I was also not a fan of the Vulcan's Warhorn personally. It's just it's just clunk, clunk, clunk. I mean, it's not even cool. It's got the isn't it that one? It's just it's too much space in between the clunks. It's not even just sort of like clunk, clunk, clunk. I got him. It's kind of like clunk, clunk.
I know. Well, I understand the concept because Vulcan, hammer, like hammer, anvil, building something, that type of stuff. I can understand the concept, but just like you said, it should be clunk, clunk, clunk. Like something like that, or something instead of, like you said, clunk. Clunk.
Please.
Clunk. Yeah, I know. They should have done something better, but I understand the concept, and I admire the concept, sticking with kind of like the name, the Vulcan type thing, and also the the walking or the mountain thing, the volcano thing, that was a cool concept too. And I have to say that was cool. Little volcano coming out.
I wonder at least, they were late with their patch notes and this, that, and the other.
Yeah. Went out.
Summertime because of all the people who were away. That's my guess. And suddenly the Warhorn guy had 2 Warhorns to throw together. And so, you couldn't do all the polish you normally did. You had to just throw them together, and that's why they're a bit lackluster.
Yeah, true. I don't know. Basically, I just make better stuff. I don't know.
Okay. That's always easy to say, but obviously,
I know. Yeah.
If they have twice the work and they're away on holiday half of the month or whatever.
Well, yeah. Plus, also, like, we're here bitching about it, and we don't even have a company. But basically, they got so much stuff to do. It's amazing because, with Mechwarrior 5, even when we actually said, "Hey, why don't you come on the podcast for a 50th episode?" They couldn't do that because they were so busy about it, which I understand. Basically, they got to get that out in 2019, and if they don't get it out and do a good job at it, that's millions of dollars down the drain. And so building this kind of stuff, they just got to put some stuff out and go and do that. And I understand that. That's fine with me. It doesn't bother me. Okay, so cool shots.
The real meat and potatoes.
Yeah, cool shots.
Patch notes, which is all the balance changes they've done. Starting with, the cool shot one, which is changing it so that instead of it applying 14 heat over 1 second, it's now applying 14 heat over 3 seconds.
Yeah.
It means if you've got a mech that has a huge alpha strike, it spikes the heat very quickly. The cool shot isn't so much of a safety valve that you can press and instantly vent the 14 heat and get your, you can stop overheating instantly.
Yeah.
In fact, it might take you a little while to stop overheating if you really messed up. Functionally, though, at least if you're managing your heat and your cool shots well enough, it plays basically the same. It doesn't have the same feeling of impact because, of course, it's not being applied instantly. But functionally, at least, it's mostly the same, just a little more clunky to use, so to speak, a little.
Yeah, I didn't have any problem with it. I thought that was pretty cool to go and help the alpha shots coming in with the 150 point alpha shots. So now they could actually just go drop that down and basically 3 seconds. It was fine. I didn't really see any problems with it. It was yeah.
It's good at least that they are aware, and I think they are suddenly gravitating towards talking more about cool shots and such, and its role in the game, and its role in somewhat tilting or unbalancing the heat mechanics in the game.
Oh, like we mean mana potions, by the way, guys, too. Mana potions. Just let you guys know. Drink that mana potion, get cool. Yeah, it was fine. I didn't mind it. The one I actually had a little bit of problem with was the lerms.
So the next suite of, this is the biggest thing, I think, for this patch, was a whole suite of changes that really hurt lock-on weapons. So what they've done is they've tightened the angle or the radius of where you can get lock-ons. So if you have a lock-on weapon, of course, you have to get your reticle, center of your reticle where your arms are aiming, within a certain distance of the enemy target to actually start locking on. And the radius of that has been reduced by 50%, thus reducing the area by roughly 60% because pi r squared. Meaning you have to aim much more directly at the target to start acquiring locks and then to hold locks, because of course if you go off by that angle now, you'll also lose the lock very quickly as well.
Yes. Actually, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they also removed entirely, should I say, the lock-on time boost you get from Artemis and the tracking strength boost you get from Artemis, which before it used to apply to all lock-on weapons as well. So even though you didn't have you aren't paying an extra slot on ton for Artemis on streaks, you still lock them faster with streaks. So streaks, LRMs, ATMs, all of them lock on slower, and you have to aim more precisely to do it. They also buffed the radius of ECM from 90 meters to 120 meters. This means the change is squared, of course, just like with lock-on area, meaning ECM covers a much more substantial area than it used to. Narc had its cooldown doubled to 7 seconds. Trying to get lock-ons using Narc, it takes forever to fire another shot with your NARC launcher. If you happen to miss, you're waiting 7 seconds to try again. And to somewhat try and counteract these losses, they slightly improved velocity for ATMs and streaks, but they're looking into it, and it might be removed in future.
Yeah, the narc I didn't see as a problem. That was not an issue. I know like one narc mech can actually go ahead and tag almost everyone in like 30 seconds, which is fine if he's good. You know, basically, hey man, more power to him to go do that, and then you know where everyone is for about 3 minutes. Or 2.5 or something, and that's fine. The ECM wasn't a big issue, but didn't they actually reduce it down from 180 to 90 meters because people were bitching that they couldn't actually go and use LERMs last time against ECM mechs? They were providing so much cover and everything. They did that a long time ago.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know about the ECM. I'll have to mess around with that a little bit more. Me and Ian did a video of kind of testing out the like before and after, and it was harder after using locks. It was almost impossible for a light mech. A light mech with ECM and maybe stealth can kill anything with a lock on mech. I mean, just like you got a streak mech, you just run around and you kill you instantly. It was crazy. It was really hard for the streak mech to actually lock on for that guy. As far as the Artemis upgrade, it pretty much nerfed Artemis. No one's gonna, and I think the only thing that Artemis does is a better hit ratio. Is that right?
Improves the spread.
Yeah.
And it only does it by like 30 something %, like a small amount.
Yeah, it's a very small amount. So I mean, for 1 ton per launcher and one space,
one slot.
One slot, it's really not worth it like anymore to go and take that. And I think that some people will be upset about that they're going to actually going to fix that. Or give like a slight time, like on boost time or something like that, because I swiped all my Artemis like off my mechs because it's really not worth it though, and I got more tonnage or actually got more armor and stuff like that for my like LERM mechs that I have. It's really not worth it, and they kind of nerfed that, which is kind of crappy.
It nerfs all the lock-ons.
Optimus.
Increases the lock-on time. So for the closer range missiles like ATMs and streaks, it delays a bit their ability to lock on and fire, at least with homing missiles, because of the Artemis buff being removed entirely.
Yeah, that was that. I don't think that's going to stay. I really don't. I don't know.
To give my take, at least, this is. I mean, in some ways, at least, I've been playing a fair amount of lock-on mechs. I think a whole bunch of people are playing lock-on mechs, and for the most part, you can still play them mostly the same. They're a slightly slower responsiveness because of the Artemis reduction, but otherwise, I found, at least when I was using lock-ons before, I always centrally located my aim anyway, because if a target is moving quickly or suddenly moves, you want to have the most time to react to catch up with them with your aim. So. And I don't know if this is correct, but at least it felt like if you had your aim more centrally located, it somewhat felt like it locked on faster. But that's just, again, probably because I'm more reliably aiming on the target.
Yeah.
So the reduction in the area you can actually lock onto targets doesn't actually necessarily hurt the viability of the weapon system if you can aim. I would say, though, there's a fair number of people out there who have very bad systems that can't run the game at a high FPS, who rely on alarms. Other people with a high ping, if you're an Oceana or whatever, lock-on weapons are really forgiving and help you still stay competitive or relatively competitive in the game, where lock-on weapons just aren't necessarily so much of an option. Other people may have neurological or physical problems that make it quite hard for them to really aim in the first-person shooter. And maybe you say they shouldn't be here, and maybe some players aren't skilled enough, you think, in the game. But it does actually, at least for lock-on weapons being so accessible, it broadens the window of people who can actually get into the game and the people who stay in the game. So making it a lot more skill restrictive like this, at least on some regards, I would have to question the necessity of this type of change, because it's hurting those who some of who have no actual way to get around it, and some of those who just aren't skilled enough to compete in the direct weapons situations.
Yeah, like I think Ian was talking about that in the video that we
with
did.
his joystick.
Yeah, with the joystick, yeah.
He likes the feel of sort of actually piloting a mech. He's doing it for the immersion, so he uses the joystick. Now, obviously, the joystick does not aim at all well as a mouse and keyboard. Well, the mouse in particular.
Yeah.
So he is, he could rely a lot more on lock-on weapons or point-blank SRMs to get his damage done, rather than finesse aiming with, laser weapons at long range. But with these nerfs, he's going to find it a lot more difficult to use lock-on weapons to, have that authentic feeling of mech experience. And it's such a shame in a way to close this window to make the game somewhat more skill-based, but it's also they're lock-on weapons. Like if you're making it basically you have to aim directly and keep aiming directly at the target, why not just use direct weapons?
Yeah.
At least when you're using streaks and ATMs. By making this change, you remove a lot of the usability. And I would say I have noticed that a little bit myself. Like with streaks in particular, they are a positional weapon. And part of the fun, at least for me, was being able to somewhat, I can move my mouse over the target and hold it fairly well. Like it is, but I'm also keeping an eye on my minimap at the same time and my eyes on, possible flanking routes. Like I'm not looking at the target, but I'm able to keep the lock on them.
Yeah,
It's sort of aiming over your shoulder or aiming off to the side while looking at another thing. It was very important for a positional mech. And also as a shot caller, at least I'm able to still do a lot of work with streaks whilst also keeping an eye on the map, keeping an eye on my team, keeping an eye on what the enemy are doing, etc., etc. But with this more tightened lock-on, I have to spend quite a bit more processing power, a lot more brain power on making sure that my aim is pitch perfect while I also look at the mini map and the rest of it. It's just, it hurts. It really hurts positional weapons, which is something that these lock-on weapons actually somewhat. That's the strength of lock-on weapons. Is it's easier to focus on positioning whilst you're doing the easier job of just locking onto targets and firing homing missiles. And by doing this, at least, it makes it, it improves the skill ceiling, but it also just, it raises the floor as well. And that would be my complaint, at least.
Well, like I think PGI wasn't really thinking about the people with like physical abilities and everything else about lock-on weapons. I don't think they're really thinking about that when they actually designed this, because there was a huge backlash about lerms, about oh my god, all the lerms, and people were really getting upset at lerms. And I don't think PGI actually took that into account when they actually did. Like we're gonna make the lock-on assistance tighter. We're gonna make Artemis pretty much obsolete. We're gonna do this. Their whole viewpoint was to make the community happy, not the 2% of people that actually have the that have the potato computers or stuff like that. That wasn't their goal to go help that out or to go stop that. Go and say we're gonna make it harder for you guys. Ha ha ha. It wasn't like that. It was just go and to kowtow to the community.
Yeah, this does feel like an appeasement patch.
Yeah,
suddenly freaking out and messing all over the place with lock-on balance. Their reasoning, at least in the Balance podcast, was of course saying, "Oh, we felt like LRM wasn't viable. People just weren't taking it, even though they were."
Yeah, they were like crazy.
There was always at least one LRM even before.
Yeah. Well, the problem. Sorry, good. Well, like I was gonna say that the problem is though, like the worst weapon system ever. I mean, there's like 200 counters for this weapon to go ahead and do to not be shot, to hide behind something, to have ECM, and there's so many counters versus this weapon, and let's go make it even worse now, and I can't understand that. And literally last week playing Faction Warfare is the only time I died like 3 times during the whole time I played last week from lerms, and that's it. All the rest of the times I could just hide behind something or use all the counters against it. And literally that was the only time I died. It's a worst weapon system in the whole game. It's viable. It's a viable system. Don't get me wrong, but we
still trounced that team.
Well, yeah. Yeah, but the whole thing is though, like, it's a bad weapon system. But to nerf it even more. Now, I'm not, just let everyone know, all the people that come from Mount Doom and the golems will come out from the ground. I'm not a whole lerm. Lerms are the best thing in the whole wide world. Everyone uses them. I'm just saying the lerms are the worst weapon system used, but used effectively, they can kill almost any unit effectively. That's a problem, though. It has to be effectively. But they nerfed it into oblivion, and now basically I rarely see lerms used now because of this.
I've seen, I mean, at least after the patch, I've been seeing a lot of people take lerms, particularly about Artemis, just because they're testing out all these changes.
Yeah.
Just like with when they were buffing lerm, people always taking it out after each patch for a fair bit to see, oh well, let's see how it feels now with the heat changes, with the velocity changes, with the ammo changes, etc. I'm still there, like talking about PGI's reasoning. They said, we wanted to make this weapon feel more viable and people have more reason to take it out. So
but they didn't.
They gave it minor quality of life improvements. Oh, the heat's slightly better, but usually at least the heat wasn't actually too bad. Like you just take 2 LRM-20s and a couple of cool shots, and you can work for most of the match.
Yeah.
Now it's even better, I guess. And velocity improved, ammo improved. These are minor quality of life improvements. It makes you not feel so restricted, I guess, when you're playing your LRM mech. But then, they're trying to improve its viability. They want to bring everything to a similar level. They do a huge sweeping amount of changes to these lock-on weapons. So one of the big strengths, as I said, at least, is the ease of use. They've removed that. I mean, you can still use them, don't get me wrong. It's just that was one of the draws to it. That's why a lot of people used it. They claimed it wasn't used before, but it was. And part of the reason why it was because it was easy to use. There's always that, silly lerm guy in the back. Why is he using LRM? Because, well, he's not that good at the game. And this weapon's really easy to use. You just made it harder. Now, they can still do it. I'm just, they're worried about the weapon never being picked up. It was being picked up. They were blind to that, and they've removed that. At least they've hurt that.
Well, I think most. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, like I was gonna say, like Darren said it best. Like even World of Tanks, when you're sitting there and you automatically die from a arty shot, no one likes being killed by something you can't see. No one likes, oh well, God, I died from an arty shot. Basically, no one likes that kind of stuff. Same thing with lerms. That's a whole major reason that the people I talk to, like, yeah, it's the easiest weapon to use, and they sit in the back and shoot, and basically you don't see the missiles coming. They're attacking from far behind. They're not, like sharing armor, blah blah blah. No one likes that, and Darren makes a good point about that. And no one likes that kind of stuff. No one likes to be hit from something they can't see. Like every time I die from a Gauss shot from somewhere, I'm like, man, that sucks. It's like, damn, that sucks. But but the problem is though, like they do give you you're being attacked by lerms, and when you instantly see that, hide, don't go out in the open, hide behind a mech, hide behind a rock, hide behind a tree, hide behind this. There's so many counters for versus this, so you don't. The whole weapon lock changes and the whole Artemis quote upgrade. It was not even needed, to tell you the truth. It was just a weapon system that doesn't need more nerfs.
If they just wanted to nerf all lock-ons, I think the ECM change would have been fine.
True.
Making those bubbles way bigger really increases the surface area, and therefore it really encourages you to have to take tag and narc, or just real direct fire weapons because you're taking so long to lock onto things. Closing up the Artemis loophole is in some ways meritorious, since at least weapons like streaks shouldn't actually be benefiting from it.
True.
ATMs technically, I think, somewhat have Artemis built into them. Like they have that advanced technology already in them according to the law. At least some people have been talking about that.
Yeah.
It somewhat makes sense. The clans are advanced. Why are the advanced tactical missiles not got advanced targeting? At least, anyway, the most key point was at least streaks shouldn't really be benefiting from it, and Artemis, the numbers should sort of already be hard baked into it, which is somewhat what PGI has been arguing for.
Yeah.
But increasing the lock-on time does slow down your ability to quickly shoot at a target. So if you're, you've got ATMs, so there's a target in front of you at 300 meters, you just have to wait a little bit longer to actually fire off your volley. And if you're trying to poke and trade with ATMs, it just becomes a little bit harder. Same with streaks. The biggest one that was hurt by the Artemis reduction was probably streaks, at least because streaks are much more limited in their range where they can attack targets. And then, at least for me with the playstyle, I did a lot more hit and run back in the day.
Yeah.
With the much more restricted lock-ons and the longer lock-ons on average, streaks weren't really being used much either, and they've been hurt a little bit by that Artemis change. But still, I like the loophole being closed off. At least there is some merit that loophole shouldn't have existed.
Oh, yeah, that's fine with me.
What I would like at least is Artemis to actually be worth the ton and the slot for SRMs and LRMs. I.e., okay, you're removing the lock-on boost and all that, but just make it really tight on the spread. But PGI do come up with a good point. At least it is only 1 ton and 1 slot per launcher. It's like, how good should that investment actually be? Because Artemis was just so much stronger than regular, at least for LRMs, because of the lock-on boost.
Well, you're getting, let's say, a mech with 4 streak 4s or something. That's 4 tons and 4 slots. That should be...
Well, not streaks.
Okay, SRAMs. 4 tons and 4 slots that you're dedicating for a mech itself, and that should actually be worth more than 30% spread. To tell you the truth, that should be something like you could actually have it where the Artemis, for every Artemis you have, it adds 10% to the lock time boost or something like that. And that way it like gradually goes up for how many Artemis upgrades you have for all your different launchers. Something like that would be fine.
Yeah, it really depends, I think, because it's interesting. SRMs and LRMs play very differently in terms of Artemis.
Yeah.
With SRMs, obviously, as you mentioned, you'll take often the Ghost Heat level, which is 4 SRMs.
Yeah.
4 SRM6s, for example, and you can upgrade them with Artemis. That's 4 tons and 4 slots. And for Inner Sphere, 4 slots and 4 tons is actually quite a big deal to find the tonnage for.
Well, the Clanners too, man. They don't have any slots for the Omnipods.
Yeah, I mean, clans at least have a fair bit more space to work with. But in a sphere, I'm just thinking of, like the Atlas S, your entire side torso is filled up with SRM6s with Artemis.
Yeah.
That is quite a big deal, the difference between 8 slots and all 12 slots. Those extra slots, because you're also looking for space for ammo, and you're looking for space for heat sinks, etc., etc. For SRMs, you have to use a lot of launchers typically if you're going for a brawler, or at least 4 launchers or so. Whereas LRMs, with the heat changes and such they've encouraging you to take bigger LRMs. If you take lots of LRM5s, you're doing it wrong because it's just so hot.
Yeah.
And it gets shot down by AMS really effectively. So, if you've got a bigger LRM mech, you want to fire groups of 2 LRM20s, which means you're only taking 2 Artemis upgrades. So the amount you're spending on LRMs is a lot less. So I wish at least Artemis somewhat had different benefits to the different launchers. For SRMs, I haven't used Artemis in ages. It just is not worth it. And LRMs, I don't care about the spread. It splatters all over the place anyway. That's the point.
Yeah.
Or at least that's just part of the life of being an LRM. You're not focusing down components.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, Artemis effectively with this change is dead, and they didn't improve the spread, which was, I think if they removed all these benefits, they should have given it some more to actually be worthwhile. Because as you say, most people are just removing Artemis wholesale. It's not worth it.
Wait, that's what I'm doing. Like I knocked everything off my learn boats and just have tag, and that's pretty much about it. And I'm just tagging everything now. It makes no sense for the Artemis upgrade unless they do what we we suggest is like a progressive bonus for everyone you have, or like you said, per launchers, like LM20s gain this much lock on time boost because of this, because it only requires 2 tons, 2 slots, compared to a mech, to a smaller mech with the SRM4s, like 4 of them, that's 4 tons, 4 slots. So I don't know, hopefully they're gonna do something for it. I don't know, but I've knocked them out, and it's because it's not worth it now.
Yeah, and the changes to narc now. I don't think necessarily narking a large number of people at once was actually always that useful, because you usually had a mech that was dedicated towards that role. They're taking a huge risk in exposing to every single enemy of the team. They're likely to get charged and run down if they get noticed at all. And just because you're saturating the field with a lot of narc targets doesn't necessarily mean that they're all going to die. In fact, sometimes it's way better to just narc one target and have all the LRM boats kill him, rather than narking all of them and have the LRM boats spread their fire all over the place.
Exactly.
And, if the worry is about, oh no, you, after a minute, revealed the whole enemy team. You know what can also reveal the whole enemy team?
UAVs.
A UAV instantly, without all the risk. You move up behind a wall near the enemy, pop the UAV, and you're not even exposing yourself to every single enemy on the team and firing every 3.5 seconds. So, of all the weapons, at least, that would not often thought of as taking it, like something people didn't really consider when taking on their mechs. I think Narc was one of the higher ones up there, along with Tag.
Yeah.
Not LRMs. But in their efforts to improve the viability of LRMs, they gave it tiny little buffs to its to its quality of life, and then really hurt its quality of life and hurt the weapon system that wasn't even really seeing much play anyway.
I don't know, like learning from you though, like I actually put it on like some of my mechs, even if I even if I just have a couple tons left, I'll pop it on there, just because if I narc somebody, they start freaking out, and that would actually make them hide behind a building or do something weird that they shouldn't be able to do. And so, then I could charge in, do whatever I gotta do, and it freaks a lot of people out. I know when I got narked, it's like, oh crap, I'm narked. And, I'm looking for learn boats, looking for the thing saying you're being attacked by lerms, type thing. That's what I'm looking for.
The thing is, though, at least with justifying a narc launcher is for Innisphere, you're spending like 4.5 tons, 5 tons maybe in total, a whole bunch of slots, a missile hardpoint, etc., etc. Even with Clan, you're spending 3.5 tons or so, and a whole bunch of slots to equip this. It's not just like a UAV where you just magically spawn one from your head and it just flies in the air.
Magically spawn one.
Yeah. Narc requires an investment, and that's at least why most people they're putting all their investment in towards firepower. And this thing that just gives intel is obviously a lot less useful in most people's eyes. It's just I like messing around with unused weapons. I think the 7-second cooldown is overkill, and balancing for just one game mode is a little bit silly. At least when you have the issue with balance, at least, is all these weapons are played in all the modes. They're played in Solaris, they're played in quick play, they're played in group play, they're played in scouting, they're played in faction warfare. Invasion modes. The AC2 doesn't see much play necessarily in quick play, but in Solaris, in faction warfare, that's a completely different story. And same with with Narc. It's used in LRM teams, but that is part of the gimmick. If you kill the gimmick, the thing that enables the gimmick, well, you just stop people having fun with LRM drops. I don't see. I mean, if a team coordinates and does like a crab rush, oh no, they're all taking one thing and being quite effective with it because they're all playing to one game plan. We need to nerf crabs into the ground. Like, oh no, they're using medium pulse lasers a lot. Let's double the cooldown. Well, well done. You removed the gimmick, but in group play, you're expecting other teams to be possibly coordinated, or at least more coordinated than random solo players. So I don't see the freak out of, oh no, people have been coordinated in places where people are more coordinated. Let's remove or try and hurt the ability for them to play around this one particular gimmick.
Basically
it lowers. It's smaller. It creates a smaller range of things that people can do, or make it harder for them to do and experiment with the game.
Well, I think on the No Guts No Galaxy podcast, when we talked about balance, they I think it was Paul or somebody said that they don't want to have in 30 seconds to go ahead and know where like everyone is, and I guess a lot of teams were doing that, like in competitive play or something like that. I'm not really sure, but I mean that's just intel. That's what it's designed for. That's what you spend the 4 to 5 tons for that. For the intel to know where people are. And that's fine. Basically, more intel, the better. The more electronic warfare, the better for this game. And if you knock that out, you're just looking at, okay, guys, let's rush the hill. Let's go over the hill and kill them. Basically, it becomes like a game like any other type of game out there instead of a tactical war game like what, MechWarrior should be. And increasing 7 seconds, you're looking at, okay, I mean, you could probably knock 3 mechs before you start getting chased down by the light mechs, type thing, because people freaking out over narcs. And sorry, go ahead.
I would say, at least in my mind, if doubling the cooldown is quite crude. I would have increased the cooldown possibly to 5 seconds. That way, you're trying to emphasize the idea that you fire it once with every alpha strike, because you'll have Gauss rifles, lasers, MRMs, all of them take around 5 seconds or so to cycle. And that was how I used my narcs anyway. The thing with the 3.5 second cooldown is it's really fast. It actually encourages a narc boat to just charge ahead and only use the narc and try and narc at more targets. But what you want with the narc is, to have it more, about precisely aiming the shot and getting it on target whilst also shooting them with regular weapons. That's the idea, that you want to use NARC to complement another payload. So instead of making it like, if I have a 5-second cooldown, it means I fire all my weapons and then I fire them again, and the NARC happens 2 seconds later, which is already when I'm back in cover. So I have to fire the NARC every 2 alpha strikes, which is dumb. I would made it 5 seconds. The other things, if you're encouraging more precision play, perhaps just do something nice like, trying to counteract this nerf, you give it a slight velocity buff so people don't feel so bad about missing it when you have to wait so long to fire it again.
Exactly.
AMS, NARC is a very slow moving projectile that gets shot down by AMS anyway, like any other missile. So even if you do the right shot, it can get shot down. It's sometimes, at least when you're firing into a large group, it's a 50% chance, even with against a stationary target, whether it will get through to the target.
Yeah.
At least at range, if you're doing it point blank and stuff.
And most of the times I actually miss with my NARC, so it's unless you have something like with say a MERM 40, and then I put a NARC on there as well, like when I'm in a brawler mode or something like that. That's the only time I really hit, because I'm dedicating just kill that guy, and that's all I'm doing. So, but I definitely agree with you on that one, though. Yeah, definitely.
I would say, at least if VGI are worried about weapons not actually being used that often, they should first actually look at the game and see whether people are actually using LRM. They are. Next, if they really want to improve the viability of a weapon system, they shouldn't buff its direct counter, i.e. ECM, like they did. Though if they're doing that, the counters to it, like NARC, they are also nerfing. And that was a weapon that really wasn't seeing play. Like, these weapons, relatively speaking at least, aren't seeing as much play as the direct fire weapons anyway. They're talking about they're talking about viability, but they're hurting the NARC launcher. And I was one of the few people who sort of encouraged people to use NARC on anything other than the Raven 3L.
Well, plus they were talking about the LRMs too. Like, just like you said, it's like, play the game and you just notice a lot of people use LRMs, but they were talking about that not a lot of people using LRMs. I'm like, what game you been playing, man? I've been LRM'd to death a couple times. It just... Yeah, I don't know. Who knows?
It feels out of touch.
Yeah. Well, like, I'm sure they play the game. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure they look at the spreadsheets. We're probably on a more of a personal basis because we actually play the game constantly. Because like they're actually in the background, actually doing artwork and doing coding and all that kind of stuff. They're doing that, and then they'll jump on like after work or something like that, or even during work, on their breaks, and play a couple games. But like us, we're like sitting there like all the time, playing this game, and so we have more of a I guess insight what weapons are being used the most type thing, like depending on what time of day and everything too. What units use them.
I mean, it's just sort of so out of touch, at least when they're talking about invincible catapults and, LRM was never used. But it's like, if you ever look up, you see the streams of LRMs going from one team to another. There's usually at least always that one LRM boat. And that was the way to figure out where the enemy are. It's such a simple, basic thing to do in the game. Anyway, at least with all these nerfs, I would say this. Other than the ECM change, which is one of the stronger counters, LRMs mostly play the same. Their lock-on time is a bit slower, but you just, you find your targets, you lock onto them, you spray them, it works the same way. You just have to aim a little more. Same somewhat with ATMs. I haven't had too much trouble using them. Streaks, on the other hand, they can still... a lot of these lock-on weapons still have their viability. They are still somewhat easy to use. They're just being a little bit more constricted, a little bit choked. A little, but in the end, it's not like these weapon systems are dead. It's not like the power of providing intel is wiped off the table because they double the cooldown. It just these weapons are most known for at least their ease of use, I would say. I often take streak mechs to carry the team and also just to relax and have fun. Easy button.
Yeah, I know.
And they made the easy button slightly harder. And they made it, particularly with streaks, the hardest, I would say, at least for me. I really enjoy using streaks, and I use them in a hit and run play style where I dance around the enemy, I do a lot of positional play and quickly strike at them. But that quickness of my strikes is gone, and the ease of use is gone as well. Or at least it's been made a bit tougher. So
Yeah.
But since streaks and narcs and such weren't used that too much anyway, it's like, well done. You just made weapons that weren't picked up very often compared to Lerm, even less picked up possibly. So good job in improving their, these things being viable in the mech lab.
True. Okay. Yeah, they actually did some quirks as well too for the patch. Spiders, Centurion, the hold on a second, let me get down here. The quick draw, and the Jenner 2C. Actually, I got the Jenner 2Cs. I haven't really used them that much. In fact, I pretty much almost never used them. The Centurion, probably I'll be using that once again, but reduce it down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's quickly go with the changes. They've been improving the spider line. This is the ones that actually got the biggest series of changes. The spider, the Ansai, I was quite fond of. At least they've given it a universal 10% range rather than just energy, which means its MGs reach a further distance. Its MGs have got a range of fire increase as well, quite nice. And the center torso hardpoint, I put a Streak 6 launcher in there, so that thing now harasses people at 337 meters. With a 20% fire cooldown work. So the Spider Ansai, it's still a very puny amount of firepower, but I personally at least love that thing as a harassment mech. I used it in Solaris, and that thing has become even better at harassment. Oh,
that's interesting. They have the 5V actually gained a sensor range quirk, so it's actually they're getting more, I guess, into electronic warfare, which is cool. I like that. Somewhat,
so
yeah.
The next biggest buff would be the Spider 5B. Its agility, I think, is above all the other spiders. Before they had sort of this awkward thing where what was it? The 5K was a little below the others, and all of them were the same. Now the 5B with just 2 energy in the center torso is the more agile of the spiders. I mean, it's about as agile basically now as a Vulcan.
Yeah.
The sensor range quirk is the thing they throw onto a whole bunch of mechs, the Javelin, the Raven, and the Black Knight. It doesn't really matter for the 5V too much. You're usually taking 2 BD pulse lasers. You don't need to breach ECM too much. You just take shots of opportunity.
Yeah.
It's nice, but it doesn't really mean anything.
The capture acceleration is really nice at plus 80%.
The big thing, at least, is slightly better agility and a capture acceleration of 80%, accentuating this thing as somewhat being a capping mech. The problem is you don't really want to take a mech just because it's good at capping, because you're only playing Conquest every so often, 1 out of 5 games. People don't vote for Conquest, they vote for Domination, they vote for Skirmish. Even though I really like Conquest, it's one of the best modes in the game, I would say. But it is what it is, and if you're taking a capping mech, only Conquest and Assault are the ones you benefit from. And really, the only one where you're actually a good team player is Conquest, because people don't like you winning the game. Assault. So it's a really niche quirk. It's really neat. I wonder what, in competitive at least, this might be a hilarious mech if it's fast enough to have as your capping mech. If that's even past the meta, I have no clue.
Yeah.
But these are quirky, funny additions to the Spider 5V, and I've been at least seeing a lot more of it. And otherwise, the 5K is no longer nerfed in agility for no particular reason. Hooray! And the Spider 5D, the one with ECM and 3 energy hard points, has a slightly better heat dissipation. So that helps with its energy loadout. Though it took a while to get hot anyway.
Yeah. I might actually do the 5V as a niche thing, just as a scout mech, basically, and and just capture points, but just to go mess around with. But that's about it. But
giving it a niche is at least something, because before it was just 2 BD pulse lasers with a crazy cooldown quirk. It was it's pretty neat. But then again, why aren't you just taking a K9 or something with 5 medium pulse lasers?
Hey, it's fun. I'm gonna play fun.
Oh yeah, I really like that mech, and it's quite good in 1v1s, but it takes time to get its damage out. That was now at least has something else. Centurion, I mean, they're saying they're trying to buff it a little bit. Its heat gen is slightly improved, but they got the Centurion A has 3 missile hardpoints. So most people do a missile-based loadout, SR-18, possibly with Artemis on it. They removed that quirk and gave it a ballistic quirk. But if you want ballistics on Centurion, go with one with 20% cooldown, not 15. So
what does the A have though? Like, what does the A have? Like, what's the major thing about it? That's the LB10 one.
No. The Centurion A has it's got the 3 missiles. That's the big thing about it. It's not got the LB10 quirk. The 20% cooldown plus 10 from LB10 is a different Centurion.
Oh, okay.
If you want to do a ballistic build, do it on the other Centurion, not the Centurion A. The Centurion A was all about missiles, and they've quirked it for ballistic. But it's not as strong as the other ballistic Centurions, so they just made the Centurion A kind of redundant, other than maybe the heat gem. But it's 5%. So yeah, it's the SRM-18 mech that's worse than it was before. Well done.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man.
The quick draws they have also fiddled around with a bit. They've moved all the quick draws up to be just as agile as the IV4, except for the 4G, I think, which is one step above the others, which is the way it should have been and the way it used to be. So at least they finally caught up with themselves from the past. And they've slightly buffed the other ones, the quick draw 5K and the 4H. They're still not as good as the 4G or the IV4, but they're catching up slowly.
I only have one quick draw.
You have to give PGI some time. Numbers greater than 5% are very scary. Jenna 2C, all of them have the same agility as the hero. The hero's agility is below the Vulcan, but it's nice.
Yeah, it's a fun mech. Like I always like the Jinners, like for the Inner Sphere though. They were pretty fun to use. In fact, someone actually said my Jinners suck, and so I actually jumped in with a Jinner, got like 700 points. And it's a fun mech to play. It's harder to play, but it's fun.
What I said, if you remember, was
no, actually wasn't you. Like it was someone. It was someone else actually that said that. Then I jumped in it and got 700 points of damage, like with it.
Okay.
But it wasn't you though. Like I know when you say stuff.
Yeah, I was mocking you, saying the Jenners were tough in Battletech because they're armored with paper for more firepower with their stock loadouts.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Like in Battletech, man, they're crazy tough.
Anyway, anyway, to wrap up with these patch notes, I personally at least I haven't noticed anything from bug fixes or whatever.
No.
So the big things at least was a huge series of nerfs to lock-on weapons. They're still quite viable though. They're just a little more fiddly to use, honestly. Get rid of all your Artemis. Don't bother with Artemis anymore, at least for now. ECM. The buff to ECM is quite nice. At least I quite like using ECM. And it was always a bit difficult to be a team player with it because you had to hug your teammates and be very deliberate with it. I still hugged my teammates and was quite deliberate with it, and I was happy with it. But now it's a way easier to spread the love with ECM. So at least in that regard, all the ECM mechs have just become a bit stronger. I at least when I'm using ECM, I love this ECM buff. When I'm using a lock-on mech, I hate it.
Well, one of the things they did was actually change the trial mechs. So they changed these mechs inside the trial mechs, which is good. It's good they should do this every about 3 months or so. That way people get bored with them and kind of like have people go purchase other types of mechs as well too. So that's good. That's not too bad.
The 2 ER large laser array is now in rotation, and of course it's not skilled up, so its ECM is worthless. Hooray!
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, that's kind of weird, huh? They would do that. It makes it pretty much worthless then. Damn. Holy shit.
Or it really undermines one of the key things of being, kind of stealthy. It's just not stealthy.
It's not stealthy enough, no.
I like the buffs to mobility. Like they've been talking about this in the PTS and whatnot. So buffing spider mobility, buffing quick draw mobility, all very nice. Nothing the Centurion A as an attempt to buff it. Well done. You're just, could you please try and not buff things like the LRMs or the Centurion, please? That's right back to front PGI.
Yeah.
So,
patch notes were okay.
Yeah, it feels rushed out the door, at least with these LRM changes. They said their biggest focus was obviously trying to get the overperformers, which is Clan Laser Vomit, Large Vomit, knocked down a peg. And
well, they're still trying to look,
and they're hurting the weapon systems that are middle of the road. Well,
they're still trying to get that through the PTS though. Basically still trying to get the notes about all the different weapon the loadouts and everything. But hey,
speaking of PTS.
Yeah, speaking of PTS.
There's they're doing another one this weekend.
Yes, up to August 19th. So actually it's for a long time.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
there's
so
plenty of time to do it.
Yeah, definitely. If you guys can try it out, you get 2 million C bills and a Demon Girl copycat item, which is actually pretty cool. I actually like that one. But I think for this one, they're actually just gonna raise the heat level up 50, right? Up to 50.
So it's pretty much similar from last time. I think they're buffing the agility of a whole slew of mechs. But your heat is permanently capped. Instead of 40 this time, it's at 50. So no matter how many heat sinks you tank, singles or doubles, your heat is stuck at 50. And heat dissipation, at least I think, is carried over from last time. That external double heat sinks, not just the starting 10 in your engine, are better than before.
Yeah, that's interesting. They give a listing of all different changes, which I don't think they actually changed much as far as what they used to have. Because I think it was a Centurion that we were actually bitching about last time. Actually, they didn't change that like 9 and 6, so you won't really notice that much. But if you really pay attention, you'll notice a lot of different changes for like mobility. Once it does come out, some you won't, some you will, depending on how big it is, obviously. But yeah, they didn't change much for the mobility. So that's just, and they're still testing it. So if you guys can check out the PTS system, they raised it from 40 heat to 50. That way they'll be able to get some data on how to change the heat system for it, for like everything, made the game a little bit better as far as alpha points or the alpha strikes.
Yeah, I still haven't seen too much testing of it with these new mechanics, so I can't comment too deeply. But
same
at
here.
least making the heat mechanics more relevant and trying to even things out across all the different weight categories and such is going to be a huge ask. Giving more people more heat to play with, of course, means those energy boats just become more powerful again. But that's the whole point, at least, of changing the heat cap and seeing how it all plays out.
Yeah.
At least to me, it says. I mean, was it public test session 2.1? Because it said it was just enough to get 45 skill points, not the demon girl reward.
What the last one was?
Because at least for me, I'm seeing August 24th to August 28th.
Huh.
Which is till Tuesday.
August 24th.
I'm not sure where you're getting your data from.
August 24th to. Okay, never mind. August 28th. Yeah, okay. Never mind. That was me. I think I'm looking at the 18, like right there. That's why. 24 August 18th. Okay, that's what I was looking at. That's what I was looking at, like, actually. So, anyways, yeah, it's up to 28th. Try it out, guys, if you guys can. So it'd be the 27th when this comes out. So Tuesday, next day.
Yeah. So yeah, it's basically sort of the weekend. A bit more than that this time, thankfully. And the reward, it's not even giving a Cicada Warhorn. It's just 45 skill points. Which is indeed. Still, this could be the feature of the heat changes, and that hopefully could actually be enough to things. I found it funny they were requesting people to take smaller mechs rather than just the bigger ones for this PTS.
Well, they want people to go do that, though. Like they want people to go test it.
It's 4v4s, and if you got the more tonnage, I'm not going to take my Piranha, I'm going to take my Street Clubs.
Exactly, yeah.
So I can just beat up all the targets. Or, because it's 4v4, you take your most brawliest mech.
No one likes losing, and that's pretty much why people take those mechs. So like, why would I take a 20-ton mech compared to a 100-ton mech? So that makes sense. It makes sense they're asking people to go and use the lighter tonnage because they want to go see what the numbers are.
Yeah.
Okay.
One little piece of news to cover. Maybe we'll cover this more next week or whatever. But Battletech has announced its first piece of DLC.
Yay!
Battletech FlashPoint.
Yes. So happy about this. It's going to be pretty cool. One of the things, my biggest gripe was that when you actually get to a certain point, all you have is a standard scout lance, which is like 4 assault mechs, and that's it. And all the rest of the mechs inside your bay are completely worthless, and you sell them. And so with this one, from what I understand, from what I actually read, is that they're going to have it where you can send your guys off missions. From what I think, I read it somewhere, but I forgot where it was. But you'd be able to send you guys off on missions, and you might lose them, but then you might not. You might actually get some like C-bills like coming in. Also, to ramp up intensity, some stories or competitive developments in which players have to repair their mechs between, or they can't repair their mechs between missions.
Okay, so yeah, Battletech FlashPoint comes with the FlashPoint events or something like that. They're only vague with the details to start with.
Yeah.
Basically, These have a bit of story to them, it seems. They still say they're pre-generated events, but the idea is at least you're playing 2 or 3 missions in quick succession, and each mission feeds into the next one. So its own little contained story. So who knows? Like, just to make up an example, I would say first mission, you raid a base and get scouting intel. Like, you raid their computers. The next one, you actually attack the base and steal some stuff. And the third one, you do an exfiltration mission. And obviously between mission 2 and 3, you can't repair your mechs, but obviously you could drop in this other one, something like that. Yeah. And the idea is they're giving you cool tech and rewards for doing all these missions, and there's actually going to be story amongst them. I'm not sure how this is all going to play out. I'm guessing these flashpoint missions could appear during your regular Battletech campaign. The idea being this is a concurrent story. Who knows? That's my guess, at least. The idea is it's not always just auto-generated missions. It gives a bit more personality beyond just the main storyline, because the main storyline doesn't have a personality.
No. Yeah, we talked about that.
So that's the eponymous Flashpoint missions. They're also introducing a new mode. I forget what it was called. I have to look again.
Tropical biome. I think that's a new map.
No,
but not a mode, though.
That's a new map area where you're doing the Flashpoint.
A new mode, huh?
A new mode where you have 3 cap points that you have to secure. And the idea is that you have to take light and medium mechs. Like, there might be a tonnage restriction on how big your mechs can be when you go into that mission.
I would be fine with that.
Yeah, so that's what we're, at least when they're talking about, we're enabling, we want to encourage people to use smaller mechs. There will be these separate mission types where you're having to take and hold 3 capture points at once.
With like focused tonnage.
I'm guessing at least it's just mediums and below that you have to take, because otherwise it's kind of, I want to see how this this actually plays out, because you could still take your Steiner Salt Lance, roam across the map, kill everything, and then move 1 Atlas onto each point. Like, technically, if there's no drop limit, or maybe if there's a time limit or something, there's you might as well just go with the heaviest lance. And they're also, for Battletech Flashpoint, introducing 3 new mechs at least. The Crab, the Cyclops, and
the Hatchet Man. Yes, my favorite mech. Oh god, yes, I cannot wait for that. Oh man, one of my favorite mechs of all time is actually Hatchet Man, and the melee for the Hatchet. Now, normally in the Battletech game, in the board game, it does 9 points of damage with a 1 to 6 chance of hitting the head because you're in melee, because you can only hit like anything above the waist. So it's a good mech. It's a very, very cool mech. At that time in 3025, only 2 medium lasers, a AC-10, and a hatchet. So that's probably what it's going to have, unless you modify your mechs depending what type of rewards you get, like medium pulse lasers if you want it to be like into a 3050 type mech, a LB-10, and 3 medium pulse lasers. And so it just all depends. But that's awesome. The Crab is going to be cool. And also it was a Cyclops too, right? They added?
Cyclops, yeah.
Yeah, the Cyclops. So three new cool mechs will be coming out. New game mode. Oh god, it's gonna be cool. I can't wait.
One thing with their little trailer video, I was wondering if you, Old Bob, would be curious about all the weapons they had on that Hatchet Man that they were demoing. It had on its left side it has lots of LRMs, and on its right side it has what looks like 2 DACA, but maybe those are the energy hard points. But and its arm, it also has with the Hatchet Man, energy hard point. It's like this thing has a crazy loadout for the time period.
Okay, in fact, I'm looking at it now. It has 2 DACA weapons and then a LRM something.
Yeah, 2 missile racks on the other side, probably LRM, and it has on its arm, like an energy crystal thing, for a laser hard point. So this thing, I mean, obviously this maybe just be them showing off. And
blasphemy!
They're trying to, and I looked at all the stock loadouts, and it's like none of them even have LRMs.
The 3025 loadout is just 2 medium lasers, jump jets, hatchet, and AC-10. 3050 is 3 medium pulse lasers and an LB-10X with a hatchet, and that's it. They didn't really have any different kind of variants per se, according to stock lore. But I don't know what this one is. That's just, I mean, just like Battletech, though, you can put jump jets on anything. So with this one, you're able to do anything you want. Now, of course, I'll do the stock loadouts, no problem at all. I'll be lore friendly. But that's probably what they did. Let's make it look cooler with like 2 AC-10s and a Lerm 20 and all that kind of stuff. That's probably what they did. So I mean that makes sense. Go ahead and sell it type thing. But you didn't have to sell it. It's a hatchet man. You don't have to sell that thing.
Yeah,
but
I felt like I mean, part of the thing is they're trying to sell. Oh wow, we've got all this cool tech as part of Operation of Battletech Flashpoint, but it's still I don't know. It's like jangling keys in front of hungry law nerds, and they forget suddenly about what stock loadouts are.
Yeah, I know. Well, the one thing though that I am curious though, because the Hatchet Man did come out in 3040 or 3042, somewhere around there. Yeah. So, is it that they're going to?
It could be its own separate campaign for the timeline. Who knows?
I don't know. That's interesting. But of course, like I'm getting too much in the lore. I mean, jump sets and everything. Yeah. So yeah.
Because what they're talking about, at least, is somewhat like these are Operation Flashpoint events, so to speak. Like there's your regular gameplay otherwise. So who knows? Maybe if it's a new campaign, and instead of just doing one drop to the prison planet or whatever, you're doing your next story mission is possibly a bunch of story missions.
Yeah.
So it's not just do one mission where you destroy another box somewhere on the map. It's do another series of missions that are auto-generated with probably boxes or circles auto-generated on the map.
Who knows? But yeah, it looks cool. I'm happy they're doing this, and from what I understand, it's free because you actually purchase the game, right? At least that's what they said, though.
No, I'm not sure. I'm under the impression it might be paid for DLC.
I hope not.
Because it's listed as like a product, like a separate product. So with something, if you're doing like particularly if it's a separate campaign, like, and they're showing like they're doing like their cinematic stuffs again. Yeah, this is a lot of work. If it was just 3 more mechs, it's like, well, all you did was you already had the PGI models. You just chucked them, you chuck at least the Crab and the Cyclops into the game. But this is quite a big rework, or at least a lot of work. So I imagine you have to pay for it.
Yeah, new encounter in target acquisitions. Light medium mechs to good use by taking control of 3 territories of what you're talking about. Before the main features. Test your command skills, series of action-packed short stories, completing extended contracts that earn big bonuses. So yeah, I don't know about price-wise, so I can't tell you that right now. I'm trying to find that out now, but I thought all the downloads would be free though. But that's just me. But that might be actually Fallout 76, but I'm not too sure.
Well, Fallout 76, yeah, they're saying all the stuff will be free. But for Battletech, at least, they focused on release the initial product, get it out the door in the best state possible, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do later. And this is, at least their first step along the way, it seems. Yeah. And like we always talked about, that basically since they have the basic model done, they can start pumping these things out because, they don't have to build the structure of the game itself. It's already done. They just got to go, okay, well, we're gonna change this to this and this to that. And then they can start pumping out stories and new mechs and like all that kind of stuff. So that's a good thing. It's a good thing for this. And I wouldn't mind spending $30 for it. Maybe $20 probably be a better idea, a much better idea for this. So, well, I think the thing with Battletech, whilst it was quite warmly received, it was also a bit lukewarm. Yeah, that's what we talked about. So there's a lot that they need to work on and improve. It's not just a matter of churn out another campaign or anything like that. Yeah. So they have to iterate, improve, and really tighten this game up to help. To hope it has longevity and it's not just people buying it because of the name. I mean, I'll buy it because of the name, though. That's just me. That's just me. Yeah, but part of that, at least, is trying different mission structures, like the Flashpoint. I think that's what they're thinking about. Yeah. It's like we want to give more meaning to stories. It's not just all auto-generated missions or just pre-scripted missions. It feels like there's a bit more personality to the missions. It's not just either story missions in one corner and random sandbox in another. Like, it feels more like a connected world. I don't know if that is how it will be delivered, but I can certainly appreciate the direction, or at least guess that the direction's going towards that. That you want to improve the storytelling, you also want to improve the sandbox, and maybe Flashpoint is the way forward for that. True.
Yeah, okay, cool. I'm happy about that. That's cool. Nice, cool things.
Oh yeah, I mean, my immediate reaction was just sort of seeing, their promotional image is sort of like there's two sides, and there's sort of people arguing in the center, and they have some really spastic hands. They just,
yeah,
they're standing in such awkward poses for people gesticulating at one another. Like, if you're really angry at someone, and you crunch up your fists, you do both of them because. It's really weird to do it asymmetrically. Why are you doing that? Sort of, I mean, maybe you crunch one fist and, thrust it towards them, but the other one's limp because you're focusing on your crunched fist. But what they've got is this kind of weird, I'm crunching my fist and holding it at my side whilst the other one holds a mysterious air box. And I'm sort of at this weird, awkward, I'm sort of, I don't know, I'm twisting myself for no reason. And I'm kind of arguing with you, but I'm not really arguing with you.
This is just a promotional poster. That's all it is. A lot of times they have that kind of stuff for like movies and everything, and that's fine. Like, I don't mind it. Like, I actually like the artwork, like in Battletech. So, but yeah, it's like the
quality of the artwork is fine, but the direction. I just think like this is your promotional artwork for the your first pitch. For the thing, and you have someone who has no idea about posing and sort of implying emotions through how somebody is acting. It's just sort of someone spasming on screen. It's like I don't know what I'm supposed to feel here. It seems like these people are kind of crazy. I don't want more spastics. I want characters. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just happy about the Hatcherman. That's it. If it's only just that, I'll be happy. In fact, I want the Warhammer. I want the Marauder. I want a couple other mechs, the Stinger and the Wasp. I want those in the game, please.
Yeah, it seems a little odd to only do 3 mechs, since they have models for so many mechs from Mechwarrior Online. I guess they're going to slowly dole them out because otherwise...
Well, I think most of it's from Harmony Gold too, and whatever contract they did, they might not be able to put those in. Basically as far as that, because I haven't heard anything about anything about the Warhammer or the Marauder. They said, "Oh yeah, we'll put them in," but I mean, this is the next thing.
Yeah, I swear there's a lot of mechs in Mechwarrior Online that aren't in this game.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
I need to look through what ones.
Well, like maybe though that since these mechs, I mean, the Crab wasn't done. The Crab was a Star League mech, but wasn't really in circulation to the 40s, and same with Cyclops and the Hatchetman. So maybe this is like the 3039 Ronin War, and then next patch after this or next thing will be the clans. I mean, that would be the money thing right there. Like that's a money. That's the prime thing for them. Basically the clans, and everyone's foaming at the mouth for clans.
Moving forward the timeline, there's the memory core, and then you can do stuff like the Bushwhacker.
Yeah.
And pretty Hellspawn, Thanatos, I think, are all newer tech.
I think so. I'm not sure when the Thanatos did come out though. But like
Thanatos all have ECM, right? So that's quite advanced.
But the Crab was already done in Star League from a long time ago. It just wasn't in circulation.
Yeah. I swear there's other mechs: Javelin, Assassin, Annihilator. Maybe the Roughneck. I guess that's
shut up. No, never. That's a makeup mech from like 3140. So that's done. Whatever. I don't like that mech. I actually do like the mech. Yeah. It's a solid mech. I just don't like the lore. But yeah, so yeah, if you guys can check it out, I think what comes out in October, I think. So somewhere around there, October. I think October.
Yeah, it's late in this year.
Yeah. So just search for it like around October, around that time. But I am happy they're doing that though. Yeah, it's very, very nice. Good times, man. Good times.
Anyway,
okay.
There'll be more details to come about Battletech FlashPoint in future. We won't have to just speculate. I know Ian at least has seen more of it himself with the devs, but
he has an NDA like right now. He can't talk about it.
Yeah, that will come in the fullness of time, just like there on the other stuff.
We'll press him.
All right. One last thing, at least, to mention is No Guts, No Galaxy have done a podcast with Paul, I think, about faction warfare. I've watched it. I think Bob hasn't.
I only listened to what you guys told me, and that's it, really. So I was ecstatic about that.
All Oldbob knows about is that they did mention that, oh yeah, we want to do more planetary descriptions and we would accept suggestions from the community.
I'm like, it's me. I raised my hand. I'm like, please let me do it. I'll do it for free. I'll use my own time and do it. Because that's one thing that bothers me about the whole thing. Is like we're fighting over planets in faction warfare when it's blank. It's like, what? You know, basically at least have some purpose for fighting on the planet itself. And with that, I will do it for free. Because all you got to really do is go to Sarna, take those, do a little bit of lore like research, and basically take that and put in the planetary like description. Of course, they want trusted people. You could trust me. I'm a good guy. I will do it for free. Just let me know. Talk to me. If you want to get in contact with me, go to Twitter or actually Discord. I have all my links under my YouTube videos. Go to my YouTube channel as well. Let me know. I will help you out. I will do it for free on every single planet. There's like 300,000 of them. I'll do them. Don't worry about it. Pitch.
Okay, so
sorry.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'll put.
That's what I listen to, and that's it.
The podcast is 2 hours long, and I think we'll be covering it more in depth next week because there probably isn't so much then, and hopefully some more of the co-hosts will be there with us to discuss faction warfare in detail.
Yeah, definitely. But I'll leave links in the video description too of everything that's here too, so you guys can check them out. So is that it? That's it, right?
That's it. Yeah, so just to wrap up, at least, I think Vulcan was somewhat what we were expecting in terms of kind of being a mech. Its agility is pretty neat, along with particularly with doubling that up with mask. Though that isn't enough to sell a mech with difficult hardpoints and a shape to work with. Patches, they really hurt lock-on weapons for no really particular strong reason, it felt like. They closed up some loopholes, which are fine, and they helped some mechs and hurt some mechs whilst trying to buff them. Yeah,
like Centurion. And the PTS came out, so basically check that out if you guys can. The new trailer for Battletech expansion Flashpoint is out as well. Check that out.
Everyone submit random images of you adopting same weird spastic poses to great schemes.
Exactly. Let's see.
I don't know what I'm feeling.
And No Guts No Galaxy had a podcast, and all I listened to was about 20 seconds of it. So, but I will be more in depth on it next week when we go talk about it with the other hosts. And that's it. So, you want to do the ending?
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the First Second Podcast, episode number 53.
Yay.
I've been your host, Vita, and co-host, Oldbob.
Hey, guys.
And we'll see you around. Bye-bye.
See you guys later. See you on the battlefield.